and today I will be talking about water and its impact on our planet as we know it. Earth would not thrive without water, and as the climate changes, we must make sure to protect our sources of water. So, let's get into it. Today we will be discussing the following: the importance of water, the risk of losing our water sources, and how to conserve the water that we do have left. Here's a question for the audience to answer in their heads. What are some of your uses of water, and how do you conserve your water supply? These are some questions that we hope you will start to ask after this presentation. First, importance of water. We can survive without food for weeks, but without water, we can't. Drinking water keeps the balance between the bodily fluids. By the functions of body fluids, it means digestion, the making of saliva, maintenance of body temperature, transportation of nutrients, and circulation. Without water, there is a great chance of dehydration, which can cause headaches, fatigue, low blood pressure, and more. As such, we have to remember to consistently refresh ourselves because our body uses up water to support bodily functions. For example, when the body sweats, it loses water to cool the body. These functions help regulate body temperatures within the skin layers, but it's important to replenish the water that you lost to prevent the temperature to go too low. Balance is what is key to the body, and this includes the balance between using and taking in water. Drinking water is also a source of nourishment for the organs in our body. The organs need water in order to cushion sensitive tissues, deliver oxygen, flush body waste, and protect organ function. The brains, kidneys, hearts, and lungs all require 75% of water to function. The water helps them to carry out their responsibilities efficiently and consistently. Kidneys, especially, require water to flush waste products out of the body. Also, by drinking enough water, one can prevent UTIs or kidney stones from developing. Water nourishes us because it helps us to preserve these bodily functions. We all drink different amounts of water, but what is the standard? Water depends on the weight, so a heavier person would need more water to retain inside his or her body and rejuvenate the cells. The table above is an estimate correlation between the two. You should drink at least between half an ounce and an ounce of water for each pound you weigh, every day. About 20% of daily food intake usually comes from food and the rest from drinks. However, not everyone reaches that amount, despite the sources of water being available. In order to increase those values, it is important to make drinking water accessible, available, and easy. It is important to drink as much water as needed, as although there is a recommended water intake, some individuals might need more or less. Exercise, environment, health, and pregnancy are all factors that may need you to drink a higher amount. Considering this, make sure to reach your recommended water intake at the very minimum. In the average human body, there's around 60% of water. From age ranges 0 to 1, they have 86%. From 5 to 14, most people have 75% of water. From 20 to 35, they have 65% water. 40 to 50 have 55% of water. And from 60 to 80, they have 50% of water. As you can see, the older we get, the less water we store in our body. So it is important to hydrate ourselves as we age. Water scarcity. On Earth, water covers 72% of the surface. Earth is very unique as it is the only planet that provides with the right resources to support life. Regardless, our source of water is decreasing, which poses a risk to all of humanity. Of that 72%, 97% of the water is saline, and only 3% is fresh water. Saline water is not drinkable, so technically we can only drink 3% of all the water on Earth from sources like groundwater, glaciers, and lakes. By 2050, the global demand for fresh water will be one-third greater than what it is now. Water scarcity, as established by the chart previous to the slide, is a growing concern. Here are some causes that we must keep in mind to make sure the water that we do have left is conserved for future use. Global warming, increased pollution, increase of human demand for drinking water, and overuse of water. These concerns will only become bigger issues if we don't do something about it and continue to underestimate the value of water. Around the world, many countries are experiencing economic water scarcity. The dark blue areas in the diagram above show that water scarcity is a growing problem. Furthermore, the countries denoted by the light blue color are on the verge of experiencing drops in their water supply. Global warming. The warmer the temperature, the higher the rate of evaporation, which causes a change in the water that the atmosphere can hold. The effect of this causes unnecessary rain in places that don't need that much rain. The increased evaporation causes other lands to dry. With the heat increasing, there's a demand for more water, but the amount of water may decrease due to the competition of our needs. With the water decreasing, we could be losing more of our needs, such as water for crops, producing energy, and more. The effects of global warming. So, increased heat leads to more wildfires, droughts, insect outbreaks, and reduced agricultural yields. Water pollution. Water pollution is a growing concern and it is impacting many people around the earth. It is defined as occurring when harmful substances, often chemicals or microorganisms, contaminate a stream, river, lake, ocean, aquifer, or other body of water, degrading water quality and rendering it toxic to humans or the environment. Water especially is prone to being contaminated because it is able to dissolve more substances than any other liquid on earth. Water pollution does in fact kill. In fact, it caused 1.8 million human deaths in 2015, according to a study published in The Lancet. Waterborne diseases are extremely common in third world countries. Even in America, about 7.2 million people contract diseases spread through the water. Giardiasis is an intestinal infection caused primarily by a microscopic parasite that is found in areas with poor sanitation and unsafe water. It's associated with stomach cramps, bloating, nausea, and diarrhea, and it could have long term effects on the gastrointestinal system. Typhoid fever. Although typhoid fever has become rare in most industrialized countries, it is a serious threat in the developing world. Signs and symptoms of it include high fever, headache, stomach pain, and constipation or diarrhea. Cholera. Cholera is a bacterial disease that is spread through the contamination of water. It causes severe dehydration and diarrhea. Modern sewage and water treatment have almost eliminated the cholera threat, but in many countries, especially where poverty and crowding is increasing, cholera still wreaks havoc. Shigella or Salmonella. Shigellosis and Salmonella are diseases that are caused by bacteria known as Shigella and Salmonella, respectively. They are typically associated with bloody diarrhea, fever, cramps, and nausea. They're very contagious and are spread through contaminated food or water. Hepatitis A. Hepatitis A is a highly contagious liver infection caused by the Hep A virus. You usually get it from contaminated food or water. Practicing personal hygiene is the best way to prevent contracting Hep A. Symptoms include fatigue, sudden nausea and vomiting, abdominal pain, loss of appetite, low grade fever, and jaundice. E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria that normally lives in the intestines of healthy people. Most are harmless, but a few strains can cause severe stomach cramps, bloody diarrhea, and vomiting. It is usually spread through contaminated food and water. Left untreated, all of these waterborne diseases can kill. Chemical contaminants. Phthalates are chemicals that make plastics more durable. Some studies have even connected phthalates to reproductive system problems, cancers, allergies, and asthma. People are exposed to these ions through contaminated water. Nitrate consumption is linked to nausea, headache, abdominal cramps, and racing of heartbeats. Sulfate is a salt. Rock and soil formations also contain sulfate minerals. Some sulfate dissolves in the water and some stays. Effects of sulfate are diarrhea and dehydration from the water. Lead enters water when a chemical reaction occurs in plumbing materials that have lead in them. Some symptoms of lead are fatigue, pale skin, constipation, abdominal cramps, staining of teeth, and more. Pesticides are used to kill pests that are a harm to crops. They make their way through the ground as people spray it into their grass or crops. The effect of pesticides are chemical burns, nausea, convulsions, hormonal disruptions, and cancers. Arsenic is a metallic material found in small amounts within nature. It enters in two ways: mineral deposits and hazardous waste. The effects of these chemicals are thickening and the discoloration of skin, digestion problems, and more are only few signs of this deadly contaminant. Did you know that water pollution can harm economic growth? Water pollution is blocking economic growth, worsening health conditions, and decreasing food production. It also causes and increases poverty in many countries. A report found that biological oxygen demand, which is an index of the degree of organic pollution and a proxy for overall water pollution, crosses a gateway of 8 milliliters per liter. The GDP growth in the following regions drops by 0.83 percentage points. In the report, the reasoning for this was because of the impacts on health, agriculture, and ecosystems. Water filtration. Water filtration is the process of cleaning contaminated water to make it free of odor, taste, sediment, and pathogens. We will be discussing 5 different filtration methods. 1. Mechanical filters. These filters remove sediment by placing the water through a mesh. 2. Absorption. This method uses carbon filters. 3. Sequestration. This method uses sequestration, which is the action to chemically isolate a substance. 4. Ion exchange. This process exchanges the magnesium and calcium ions for sodium and hydrogen ions. One unique characteristic is that a calcium transfer filter can be cleaned and used again, unlike other filters. 5. Reverse osmosis. This method removes dissolved inorganic salts by forcing it through a semi-permeable membrane under pressure so that water can pass through but the contaminants cannot. This method is the most efficient because it filters not only chemicals but bacteria, viruses, fungus, and other helpful minerals. After filtration, in order to add back the necessary minerals that the filter had removed, you need to use a mineral cartridge or take mineral supplements. 6. Air stripping. This is a method that is usually used commercially. Boiling water is different from filtering water. When you boil water, it kills living agents like bacteria, fungi, viruses, etc., but it does not remove chemicals. In third world countries where there are more incidents of waterborne diseases and no access to filtration, boiling water is a great way to remove infections. Chemical contaminants are not removed, however, by boiling the water. Environmental Working Group is an organization that uses 32 million state water records based on zip codes to analyze water quality. They then have a scale that indicates how hazardous a sample of the water that goes to your house is. 1 to 2 is low, 3 to 6 is moderate, and 7 to 10 is high. For example, a test result from the Newark Water Company suggests that their water had a total of 20 contaminants, 10 of which exceed EWG guidelines. You can also try testing the water out for yourself by buying a testing kit. For example, there's a kit H2OOK Plus Complete Water Analysis by LabTech that includes detailed instructions to test the water. You can find these at any hardware store. It's easy to use at home and provides instant results. Saving water. How can we save water? Well, first off, we can start by taking shorter showers, adding water saving shower heads or flow restrictors, turning off faucets whenever not in use, storing water, putting a plastic bottle in a toilet tank, which uses up less water when you flush by putting smaller amounts of water in the tank, or by using a smaller tank. From the water that goes into the shower heads to the water that fills the largest oceans, each water droplet calls for our help. Here are citations, and thank you, and we hope you learned something new today.